Hello, friends, and welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate, where we are on a quest. We are looking for the extra in the ordinary. And I'm Tad Fulford, and I will be your host on this journey where we will take an honest look at what makes ordinary people extraordinary. Exactly how can we be extra in our personal and our professional lives? In this season of the Rise Up in Real Estate adventure, there will be a monthly rhythm, meaning each month we will have 4 unique episodes. In one episode, we'll tackle a pressing current real estate industry thought. In another, we will chat with a local difference maker in the real estate space. For our 3rd episode, we will host a respected national thought leader. And finally, we will have a 4th bonus and surprise episode. And in each episode, we will be digging into not only what those people think, but who those people are. Along the way, it's my hope that you'll laugh some, you'll be challenged some, you will get inspired some, and if we are lucky, maybe even figure out a way or two you can rise up in your own life and be the best human that you can be. So the challenge is, let's all rise up. Hello, Rise Up Nation. Welcome back. We're excited to have you here for a really cool episode. I know I say this a lot because I like people and I like talking to people and I love interviewing them and having you guys meet my circle of friends. But today is really special for me because this is one of my favorite people in the whole world that I'm going to introduce you to. I really have grown to love this person over the years. I've learned so much from her. I'm 100% sure you feel the same way if you're listening to this. And if you don't know this person, you're so lucky today to get to hear her talk. She hates to talk about herself, so I'm going to try to bring her out to talk about the things that she does for other people and stuff. But Harmony Bellamy, welcome to Rise Up in Real Estate. I'm glad that you agreed to come on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Harmony, tell us, Harmony works currently as our director of happiness for our companies, and that'll deserve some discussion in a few minutes. But Harmony, tell me a little bit about where you're from, how you ended up in real estate, a little bit about, I know your main passion is your family. Talk to me a little bit about all of that stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so I was actually born in West Virginia. My dad was a coal miner. He was when I was born and up until he just retired a few years ago. So he was always a coal miner. My mom stayed home. So about probably when I was 5, they divorced, and my uncle actually was starting a community here in Brunswick County, which is right across the line. And he was doing, my uncle was doing the electrical work for that. And then my cousin was doing the building. So they started Briarwood in Charlotte, North Carolina. And so my mom, when they got a divorce, they came here. So I've been in Brunswick County for practically my whole life. And so skip forward to now, I met Ty about 20 years ago, and he started real estate as soon as we got married. And then he kind of threw me into this whole whirlwind of real estate.
Yeah, so I didn't know you're from what town in West Virginia are you from? Do you know the name of it?
Yeah, so I'm from this little teeny tiny town called Sistersville. It's kind of cool. It was really amazing to grow up there. When I was little, where my house was, it was on this huge hill, and I could see the Ohio River and Ohio from my house. So we lived on this huge hill where we played and played and played until, the lights came on, and then we had to come home. And then my dad or mom would always yell for us for dinner. So we would come home and eat dinner, and we were back at it again. And so I had a really great childhood, some great memories in West Virginia. So
that's pretty cool. And you know that Mandy's sister, Christy, lives in West Virginia now. They have 150 acres. They live on top of a hill. Very similar sounding situation. But what a cool. Do you have brothers and sisters? I don't know that about you, Harmony.
I do. I have one brother, and he lives in Calabash. He works for ATMC, so he puts in security. So, and then I have a slew of like half brothers and stepsisters and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you met. So where did you meet? Is Ty also from around Brunswick County. How did you meet Ty? Ty is Harmony's husband. How did you meet him?
Yeah, so Ty was actually born here in Conway, and my brother actually worked at a surf shop called North Shore Surf Shop, and Ty and his family owned that surf shop. And he kept asking me, like, you need to meet Ty. You need to meet Ty. I'm like, no, I'm good. And so we didn't meet actually. I mean, we did meet whenever he asked us to, but then about, I guess, 4 or 5 years later, one of my friends, Christy, was like, come over to Ty's. We're having a Bible study. You need to meet him. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to Ty's for a Bible study. I used to sell wholesale jewelry in my past life. And I'd just gotten home from a wholesale event. I think it was in like Gatlinburg, and I just drove in and I was tired and I still had like dress clothes on. I was like, no. And then she ended up talking me into it, and that was it. We started dating ever since then.
That's a funny story. And that surf shop, was that surf shop in North Myrtle Beach?
It's actually in the same strip center of the North Myrtle Beach office. So where the restaurant is, it's like an Asian restaurant now. You know what I'm talking about? Like right there in the shopping center in the middle. That's where his surf shop was. And he actually asked me to marry him in the surf shop.
Wait, that surf shop was in the same plaza as the North Myrtle Beach office is now?
Yes.
So it's like where E-Noodles was?
Yes. Yeah, yep.
No way. How did I not know that? I knew that it was in North Myrtle Beach because I think I remember them talking about it, but I didn't know that it's actually right there. So when he goes to the office every day, it's just like 100 yards from where he proposed to you and where he worked. Or they owned it, right? That's your brother worked there.
Yes, yeah, that's how we met. It was crazy.
That is crazy. What? And you go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
How long ago was that you met him? You've been married 20 years now. Did you just celebrate an anniversary, a big one?
Yes, 20 years. And the crazy story is that we met in February, like basically now. We were engaged in the same year in May, and we were married the same year in December. That's crazy.
Yes, I guess once you finally agreed to meet Ty, quote unquote, it was all downhill from there. I mean, you sound like you resisted it for a minute, but then it's all over after that.
Yeah.
And those of you that know Ty and Harmony, and I'm not, well, you've listened to a lot of these episodes. I don't just say this to say this. I mean, probably some of the best people that you'll ever meet. I mean, you guys are so humble. That's probably my favorite thing about you and Ty, especially Ty. He knows so much and is so well connected, and yet he would give you the shirt off his back in a second. He's so unassuming, just salt of the earth kind of people. And I don't know where that comes from, but I'm envious of it. I think you guys are really special. So was he involved in real estate when you guys met?
No, he was in the surf shop when we met. And then I guess it was like 2 years later. I don't even think it was 2 years later. He started real estate, and it was scary. I mean, it was so scary because that was, his whole life was in the surf shops forever. So,
and you remember those days? Do you remember those days? And where did he work originally? Do you remember?
Yeah, he worked at Century 21 Thomas.
Oh, okay. So he worked for Hank back in the day, way years ago. And then how did things unfold from there for him to? Because I know you guys didn't you actually own a real estate company in the past too?
Yeah, we owned Remax at the Coast. Ty and Scott did. And so he had came over here to Remax Southern Shores and then thought, well, maybe it would be, maybe we need to own our own. So we had, he started Remax at the Coast. And then I don't even know. I mean, it was a good long while he had it. And then he was just like, I just want to sell again. It's just easier to sell. I only need to worry about myself. When you own, you have to worry about everybody else. And it's just a lot. So we sold our company to Mandy. And then I came along with the deal, I guess.
Yeah, we often talk about that. Like the best thing that ever happened with acquiring that company was you. We don't tell Ty and Scott and all the agents that, but it's interesting also, like when Remax Professionals happened, Valerie came along with that transaction too. We didn't know her, and same with Katie in Conway.
Right.
It's like the bonus opportunities. And we're actually talking to a few people now with that same kind of circumstance. And one of them asked me, well, what are we going to do about so-and-so, a person that they work with, if this all happened? And I said, well, in our experience, it's always been the best person to come along with the transaction. So,
Right.
So you were in the wholesale jewelry business. Your husband was just buying a real estate company, and you're like, what in the world am I doing? Then I can understand. I've talked with Ty about it. Like, a lot of people feel this way when they get into ownership. It's not for everyone, right?
No,
And I
definitely.
think he and Scott really were most passionate about, and it happened with Kirk and Sue and all those people too, more passionate about selling real estate.
Yeah. He's so
And
much
it just
better
worked
at
out.
that. Yeah, he's so much better selling. I mean, I know a lot of people think that their husbands are the best, but I mean, he's amazing. He knows his land. He's just so he's just a wealth of knowledge. He's so smart. He did the city council, or not the city council, but I don't even know what it's called, but through the city, he did that, and just
Mm-hmm.
knows so much about the city of North Myrtle Beach. He's just a wealth of knowledge, and he's just, like you said, just a great guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I love people like this. You meet him and you would never imagine. Some people, like I have this problem with, I'm too boastful. Like, I talk about myself more than I should, and I'm self-aware of that. But Ty is the opposite. Like, you won't know what he knows until you ask him.
Correct.
And I love that. And I mean, I actually, when Mandy and I have questions about stuff, he's one of the first people we call. So that's really cool. So tell me you also have some children. Her son, actually, you should look him up on social media. Well, maybe you shouldn't, because maybe that's creepy, but he looks like Trevor Lawrence, which I think is so funny. But tell me about your kids, Harmony.
Yeah, so Ethan is our 16-year-old, and he is driving and has a squatted truck, and he just thinks he's the coolest thing ever. He enjoys wakeboarding in the summer, and just a really great kid, has a heart of gold. He's really special. And then Lila, she's 10. She keeps us busy with tennis and softball and dance. So she is amazing too, just has a heart of gold, and both of them have a love for animals. So
That's neat. So can you remember Chad Porter?
yes.
Remember the guy that had the skiing accident? And I know he and your son had an affinity with a similar thing. He's going to be on our podcast soon. I talked to him not too long ago, so he's
Nice.
agreed to come on. That'll be really fun. And I think he's actually going to come back to a recharge also and kind of revisit us. I thought that'd be cool. But tell me, each of your kids, is like Lila like you and Ethan like Ty, or are they their own individual people, or how does it work? Are they a little
So
bit of
it's
both?
funny you say that. Lila, when I ask her what she wants to be when she grows up, she says, I want to be the director of happiness at an office. She says, how do
No
I do
way.
that? She's like, do I have to go to college for that? I was like, oh, honey.
Does she have that? That is so sweet that she would say that. And when I meet her or talk to her, she seems so shy. I know she's not when she gets to know you, but tell me, does she have, in your opinion, those qualities?
She thinks my job is super fun. So like sometimes I'll have her do like if I'm sending out pop buys or if I'm doing recruiting, she loves to help. So she's like, your job is just so fun. I think she does have the same qualities. And I also think that that's kind of, as you get older, you kind of get those more and more. But I try to instill those in her, like, okay, let's try to think of somebody else before we think of ourselves, So it's hard though, as a kid to really grasp that whole caring thing, So
Yeah, well,
but
you must. That's quite a compliment to you. Like, I remember growing up, I was like, I'm never going to work for my dad or with my dad. I don't want to do
right.
anything like that at all, because it was he worked all the time and I didn't want to do that, and it's a compliment to you that she would say that at her
Right.
such young age. So that's so sweet. And by the way, we'll start her internship whenever you want. Like, she can come on board right away. I'd be excited for that. And you think that Ethan is like Ty, or is he his own like unique person? Or
I don't know. He's a teenager right now, so he has a desire to be a vet whenever he gets older. But I think through Ty, he doesn't want to he wants to work as a vet, but eventually he wants to just own his own company, his own veterinarian office, and not work as a vet. So I think he has that through Ty, those where he wants to own his own stuff and do what he wants to do. But, with the teenage years always comes the fun thing. So Ty and I think he gets it naturally from both Ty and I, where we did a lot when we were kids and getting paid back for it. Is that the right thing to say?
Yes. Well, I mean, I think that's so funny. Your mom probably said to you, you're going to get this, she probably said it already. You're getting what you deserve because of how you lived. And we all did that. I think it's just but being a parent's a real, we've talked about this. It's real. Like, it is not for the faint of heart. I feel like I appreciate you and the way you and Ty handle it, because you don't act like you've got it all figured out. You're very transparent and open.
Yeah, we definitely don't. I will say about him is that he's been in this youth program at Ocean Drive since the 6th grade, and it's a great youth program here in North Myrtle Beach. And he's been going since he's been in the 6th grade. I used to take him, and I'm like, I know once he starts driving, he's not going to go. And he does. He drives himself every Wednesday to church. Now he's helping with the games there. He's the leader. Like, he has to come up with the games every single Wednesday, and I can't believe he's doing it. But I mean, it's time, and they used to go on ski trips and everything. He doesn't do that anymore. He says he's too old for that. But it really is a great little youth for him. So
yeah, it's taught him responsibility, and you probably scratch your head and like, how in the world did this happen? That now he's leading games. You weren't sure how it would go, right?
I mean, especially since he's a junior, and I'm like, there's no way he's going to ever, drive himself to youth, and he does. He goes every Wednesday. So I mean, that's super, super proud of him for doing that, at least.
Yeah, and you've already started college tours, right? You can't believe that. Has he chosen a place, or is he leaning towards USC, or do you know?
Yeah, so we have toured 3 so far. We've toured Clemson, Carolina, and the College of Charleston. He did not like the College of Charleston at all. I think it's a little too liberal for him. Not the pick for us. There's nothing wrong with the school, just not for him, of course.
Yeah.
And then he does love Clemson, and he does love Carolina. I mean, with the field that he does want at Clemson, he can start working with animals in the ninth grade, as freshman, as soon as freshman year. So that's really great, but it's super hard to get into there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for talking to us about your family. I know that people were interested. You don't ever talk about yourself, and I think it's important for people to know who you are. If you live or own property along the coast of South Carolina, you probably need insurance. We Insure Advocates is a locally owned independent agency with industry-leading service support. Our team of customer-centric agents can explain your coverage options and help you craft an insurance program that fits your needs and budget. Data-driven for better value, people-led for better service. That's the difference of we. For all of your property insurance needs, please find us at weinsureadvocates.com or call us at 843-491-6990. So let's talk a little bit about the thing that everybody wants to know, and that I always ask you, and I don't know that you have an answer for it, but so you're the director of happiness at this pretty big organization, and what that means is you do a lot of different things, and I'll say what you do and you correct me, but Harmony's like our den mother. Like, she just cares for everybody. Anytime there's a birthday or anniversary, a sickness, a baby being born, everything I see on Facebook, as a matter of fact, that's monumental in someone's life, I send to you because you just care like that. And you also do all of our client appreciation events and the pop buys and all of our big events. Like, we're having our gala next week, and we have our big conferences coming up in a couple of weeks. We do a huge Christmas event, parties, etc. But you are director of happiness. Talk to me about, like, how do you do that? Like, where does the care come from that you show? Because it's not normal. And I say that with all respect. Like, I think you're a unicorn. I've told people that before. I think you're rare. You don't find people like you very often. But where does it come from? Did you learn it from your parents? Did you learn it from reading the Bible? Did you talk to other people? How did you learn how to be who you are?
I really don't know. I don't have an answer. It's definitely not from my parents. Definitely not, from reading the Bible. I mean, it could probably be that, but it's awkward and weird. But I will tell you that I get this. I don't know if it's this thought. So a thought just goes through my mind, and I don't know. Like, sometimes I think it might be like a God wink or something coming from God. But, like, for example, the other day, this is so crazy. I don't even want to tell you this, but
yes,
the other
tell me.
We were in the Charlotte airport. We had just gotten back from our anniversary trip or whatever. And there was this lady there, and she it was in the courtyard, and she was wiping tables like nobody's business. Like, I've never seen somebody wipe tables like this person. And she cared about her tables. Like, she would not let anybody sit at these tables unless it was wiped off. And that Charlotte area, that's pretty big little food court there, and it's busy. Like, there's people constantly getting up and getting down. And that was her job. And that was, she thought that, it was huge for her. And anytime anybody would sit down, she would talk to them and say, please don't, just let me wipe your table before you sit down. And most of the tables, they weren't even really dirty after all. And so I sat there and watched that lady, and Christmas was coming up, and I don't know. I mean, you could tell she was like the boss of that area. Like, that was it. And something just came up in my head, and it was like, you really need to just give her some money. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's a God thing. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know what it is. So I don't ever have any cash. So I was like, Ty, do you have any cash? And he was like, I have $10. So I just walked up to this random lady, and I was like, I don't know why I'm giving you this, but you're a boss at these tables, and go buy you some lunch or some dinner. And $10 probably can't get her much at the airport, but maybe, something else. So it's always that thought that goes through my head. And sometimes, like, I feel like sometimes I dismiss it, and then I feel guilty. Like, for example, there's a lady in our neighborhood that her dog just got missing, and we believe we have coyotes behind her house, and we do believe that, like, the coyotes got it. And, like, this thought was like, you just need to stop by and bring this lady flowers. I don't even know this lady, and I still haven't done it yet because I was like, that's just weird. Stop. Like, no, I can't do that. And I still haven't done it. And, like, this morning I woke up and I was like, okay, still haven't got those flowers for that lady yet. And it's been weeks. And now I'm like, now it's just weird. I can't bring her flowers now. So right. It's just that little voice in my head that's like, what would you want? How would you want somebody to treat you? Like, how would you want it? Would you want somebody to bring you flowers? Even though it's a little creepy because you don't know the person.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, I love that. And I think that everybody listening will pick up on the fact that the answer to the question is, it's just who you are. Like, I think heredity has something to do with this. Like, you were given a gift of perception for what people's needs are. Like, and most of the time, not in the flower instance yet, but most of the time you respond to that nudge, that God wink, that urging that you feel. And I'm similar to that. Like, I'm not saying I'm like Harmony. You guys don't give me grief after this podcast because I'm not like Harmony by any stretch of the imagination, but I do I do have this innate urge to help people. Like when I see something like what you saw, like yesterday, we were driving down the street, and this is true. Mandy was in the back seat with the baby, and I was driving, and I looked over at the stoplight, and there's a lady literally sobbing in her front seat of her car. She's driving, crying, and she's got a baby in the back. And I wanted to, like, I'm ready to roll my window down and ask how I can help. And Mandy's like, don't do that. Like, that's creepy. And it probably would have been, but I wanted so much to help that person. And I love that you have that, that gift. And I want you guys to recognize too, when she talked just now, I think what's so important is those people that you help, the lady in your neighborhood, and then that lady at the cleaning those tables, there is no expectation of a return. Like, yeah. And there's no way they can even return. And that's the cool thing. Like, they can't even, you're not doing it because you want something back. You're doing it because you want to enhance that person's life. And that's why I think you're such a gem and such a lucky that I know you, but for our organization too, that you're there and you're doing those things, and you're just, you pay attention to the needs of humanity in a unique way. But tell me, and this might be awkward, but it's also, they can get tiring, can't it? I mean, you had a burden for a woman who was washing tables in Charlotte. Carrying around that burden does it ever wear on you, or do you cry a lot? I mean, do you get tired? I mean, tell me how it makes you feel.
Yeah, it's not that I would ever want anything in return, but Ty says a lot to me. You are different, and like there's nobody like you. So you like just for example, I was really sick, but nobody called to check on me, and I called to check on everybody, you know? And not that I would ever say that, but like sometimes the burden does get so big that like you don't get anything back in return. But not that I need anything in return, but it's a little bit, it does get a little tiring. Not tiring. I don't know what the right word is, but yes. And Ty's like, there's nobody like you. So you're you for a reason. You know, I don't know how to explain it, but yes, it does get a little daunting at times where he's like, you are you for a reason. So you can't burden yourself with it, or you can't say, oh, nobody's doing this for me. Not that you expect it, because I don't, but it's just a little,
No, I totally get where you're coming from. And as your friend, but as your coworker too, it's always hard for me to figure out how to reward you for all that you do, because I'm just being open. I have no answers here, but like to reward you for what you do, because you don't want it. You would not expect it. You don't even like it, really. I mean, I don't think you even want the notice or recognition, or, that day that I gave you flowers around Thanksgiving. I literally was in the store and I saw them, and it was one of those things that you just mentioned. I said, I'm going to get those for Harmony, because she had just done all these Thanksgiving events for us, like 12 in a row, and so much work. And I just wanted to but I felt almost like you were embarrassed, like you didn't even want the recognition, but you deserve it. So it's a weird, Ty is he's the luckiest guy in the world to be married to you, but it's also a hard position to be in when you're such a giver and you don't expect or want anything in return. I think that's really unique, and we're so lucky to have you in this, in this setting. I want to ask you another question. Like, what are you guys feeling about, you're a spouse of a real estate agent, right? And you're in the real estate stuff every day. What do you think about the market right now? What talk is going on in your household, just openly? How do y'all feel?
Yeah, so we have been in every market, from the very crazy to 2006 market. We've been in the 2008 market. We don't really talk about it at home. I mean, it's kind of the thing where like we've been through it all. We can do whatever. And through Ty and I, like we're not the kind of people that have to have stuff. Like I told him, if we live in a single wide trailer, I'm happy. Like as long as I have him and as long as I have my kids, like the stuff is just stuff, So we don't try to stress about it. It is what it is, kind of thing. We've been through every single market, so we know what to expect. We know what to do. We lived off beans and rice, and we've lived on caviar. So like, we've the highs and the lows. So it is what it is. We try not to worry ourselves about it because there's nothing we can do about it. But Ty has stayed pretty busy, so there's nothing really to worry about right now. And in 2008, we were fine. Like we didn't get to go on trips, or we didn't get, or whatever, but we didn't go without. So it's totally fine.
I heard you guys should listen to what she said by saying, we don't talk about it. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Jared James says there's no such thing as a good market and a bad market. It's just the market that you're in. So that's a good word. So I can talk to you for, as you know, because we do this, I could talk to you for hours on end. And I know that we'll have to have you on here again because people are going to say, you didn't even ask her about so-and-so, because I'd love to ask you about client events and parties that you do for agents and why and all that. But I wanted to ask you this, because I ask everybody this. What is your superpower, Harmony? This is the most uncomfortable thing for you in the world because you don't talk about yourself. But what do you think, and I know the answer, but what do you bring to the table? Like, what's your number one trait?
I guess it would just be to care about others. I always try to put myself in somebody else's shoes. Like, okay, if I was sick, what would I want somebody to do? Or if I just had surgery, how would I want somebody, to do? So, I mean, I guess that's really the only thing that comes to mind first off is, always putting myself in somebody else's shoes.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. By the way, I wanted to tell you, and those that are listening will benefit from this. I listened to, I'm getting coached by Darren Hardy this year. And so he had an hour-long thing about this very topic, like what you do day to day with the Director of Happiness, like what the guy at the Savannah Bananas does. He has a guy on that did all these events for his company, and it was remarkable. Some of the things he said, I can't wait to share it with you. Because it's like what we just talked. What was that thing called that the guy at Savannah Bananas does when you bonus something or you make it a little bit better?
You plus it.
Yes, you plus it. So this guy talked about that too. I can't wait to share it with you. I saved it, so I'll give it to you because I'm sure you'll love it. The other thing, is there a book that you've read that you love that you could share with us? I always put it in the show notes because I'm sure somebody would also like to read it. What's your favorite?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and there's a lot of different books. We have through Remax Southern Shores, we have to read books, and we talk about them every week or every month or whenever we read them, and it's always good to get a different perspective. But I was thinking about that when you asked me, and I think that if you haven't read the Mr. Thank You Project, we do a lot of handwritten notes here at our office. This is a great perspective on handwriting letters. The guy that wrote the book wrote handwritten letters for a whole year. And it just kind of gives you an idea of like different things that he wrote about. And for example, like he writes a letter to the pilot of his airplane, like when he goes on the airplane, and it's like, I realize that you have spent numerous hours without your family. Thank you for that. So it's just like kind of a different perspective on things of like, or like, for example, there's a thank you note in there for someone that puts Christmas lights up. Like, who would think to do that for your neighbors? But I love that book. It's a great book just to think outside of the box. Cause I know like sometimes when I write my letters, and I love to write handwritten letters, I'm like, what am I going to write? I have no idea. And then this whole book is just on ideas about thanking people. And like, you don't sometimes think about that.
No, that's great. What was the name of it again?
It's called the Mr. Thank You Project, a journey to elevate the level of gratitude on the planet, one card at a time.
That's a long title. I will put the link to that. That's a long one. I'll put a link to that in the show notes so that people can grab it. That's really cool. If you learned something about writing notes, then it was probably very, very good for sure. Yeah. So last question I'll ask you, and it's just because we titled this podcast Rise Up in Real Estate. One of the ideas that I had was, what is it about my guests that what do you do on a daily basis that helps you rise up above the normal? You're not normal, you're extraordinary. And how do you stay there above the mediocrity and the fray in the world? Is there something that you do regularly that helps you?
Yeah. So this is a hard one for me because I try to wake up every single day and try to make a difference in somebody's life. So just one person, right? It's hard though, because I feel like sometimes that you get stuck in these ruts, so like we're not supposed to write letters, but it's something that we're encouraged to do. And sometimes you just get up and you're like, man, I got to write a letter today. And it's not how it should be. It's like, I get to write a letter today, or I need to call agents and see how they're doing. Or I know so-and-so's mom is sick right now. I need to give her a call. And then sometimes that you think it's just like everyday stuff, but it just makes such a difference. So like if you change or make someone's day one day, it's just, to me, a huge difference. Like I don't really know what I'm trying to say here, but like I try to do that every single day to try to touch somebody and make them have a better day. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. It's interesting that I'm not surprised that you would answer that way, that like what she just said was basically to make her day better, she makes someone else's day better. And that in turn makes you feel good. And I think I talked about this in a previous episode. When I was feeling a lot of doubt one day, and I just was encouraged to focus on someone else, like take my thoughts off of myself and put it on the needs of someone else. And it makes you feel better. It raises you up. So that's an excellent one. It's interesting that you would have to, I don't imagine of all the people that I know in my life, I can't imagine you're the one that in the morning struggles with that, because what I always see is the loving, giving, charitable, heart on her sleeve Harmony. But it's nice to hear that even you struggle with that. It makes me feel human.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, even the little things like, instead of like today is somebody's birthday, of course, somebody in the office, it's somebody's birthday today. And I'm like, I'll just send them a text. But then it's like, wouldn't it be so much better if I picked up the phone to call this person and wish them a happy birthday? And I did. And I am fully to blame with sending the text. But the other day I called somebody and they're like, I can't believe you called me to wish me a happy birthday. And I'm like, that's what life's about right there. Like, I'm not too busy to pick up my phone to call somebody, but I was being lazy and sending everybody text messages because it's just so much faster. And it took me 1 second to do it instead of the 5 minutes that it would take me to call somebody to wish them a happy birthday. But like the feeling that they felt because I picked up the phone was like, oh, really?
Yeah. And now listen, real estate agents can learn a lot from what you just said, because too many of us have gotten in the habit of letting our automated emails and our automated texts and our drip campaigns and all of that great technology tools to do our job for us. Whereas somebody like you or like Ty picking up the phone and saying, hey, it's me, is so much more valuable. Humans need human contact. And I think that's a great bit of advice. Well, Harmony, obviously I could talk for 4 more hours, but you have been amazing. Thank you so much for taking your time. Thank you for being who you are as a human. Tell people how they can reach out to you if they want to. Like if you said something today that they want to connect to, where can they find you, Harmony?
Yeah, so I'm on everything. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I don't get on Instagram as much. I do love it, but I am on Facebook, Instagram. You can email me or call me. I am an open book. I'm happy to share anything. If you would like to have somebody like me in your business, I'm happy to share anything. There's no secrets for sure. So happy to connect.
Yes. That's excellent. I'll put Harmony's contact information in the notes. I know a lot of my broker owner friends will listen to this podcast, and you've always wondered what the Director of Happiness can do for you. We didn't talk a lot about it today because I did that on purpose, but connect with Harmony. She's an open book. She's going to be at R4 in a few weeks. This might be even after R4 when this airs, but she's ready to talk to you about all that. Harmony, thanks for being incredible. Rise Up Nation, thank you for being here today and spending your time with us, and we will see you down the road.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, that's a wrap, folks. Thank you so much for listening to Rise Up in Real Estate. If you liked hanging out with us today, please find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Rise Up in Real Estate. Also, follow us right now on your favorite podcast host to hear more episodes. We really appreciate you spending some of your time with us. And until next time, let's do each other a favor and all help each other rise up.